Hello and welcome to the Wellness Agents. We're thriving in a changing world and knowing there's always more to learn is what we stand for. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Karen, and today we're going to be talking about water. The water
Huge topic.
yep, it's a massive topic, so we'll narrow it down. The water we drink and what the quality of the water is that gets delivered to our house by what we call scheme water, and even the considerations you've got to make for if you collect your own water through rainwater tanks sort of stuff. But it became really apparent because in our local town there was supposedly very recently, I think for longer than recent, but fluoride has just been introduced into our scheme water. And it was quite interesting watching the community reaction to that because, of course, there's elements of the community that see it as a good thing, and there's certainly elements of the community that see it as the neurotoxin, so toxic to the nervous system, that it actually is.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's only one part of the water argument. And so, yeah, we thought that it's a really big topic to address and an important one because we're meant to be drinking water all the time.
Yes. And how good is that water for us? So I think for me, it just became necessary to start finding an alternative source of water probably for the last 12, 14 years because I didn't trust what was in it. And so filtering water and looking into filters, but not only for drinking, but also for showering in. So, we shower in usually a little cubicle with hot water, which makes it very toxic when it's not the fluoride then that's going to be detrimental to you. It's all the chemicals and the chlorine in the water that then you've got this concentrated sort of steam bath. And that's an important thing to look at. So filtering out your shower water, I think is really, really important. And then filtering out what you're drinking because your body's going to filter it. You may as well, get a filter so that you don't become the filter. And we'll put a couple of links below when we finished about what we use for shower filters and where we get our water filters from, so that you can have a look at those. But it is essential. And I think once you get used to that filtered water, when you go out, so for example, if you are out at your local cafe, unless they are filtering the water, and in my experience, very, very few do it, you have a drink and you can taste it. I can't drink it.
Yeah. Yeah. And even the same for the shower, because I was a bit slow to get onto like I ideally would love to have a filter so it's filtering any water coming into the building, but I was a bit slow to get onto the shower filters, and it's like you say, because it's hot water and all that steam effect. Again, once you're showering in a unfiltered shower, you know it. And like you can smell the chlorine. Where we used to live in Perth, you turn on the tap and you wonder whose swimming pool you're draining. Like it was so strong, the sense of chlorine. And like, okay, I understand the health reasons behind chlorine for its purpose of what it does for a swimming pool, but we're not looking at the bugs in our belly that need to be there for our nutrition to break down food and create neurotransmitters. It's such a continuous effect of if you have this, then that goes to that. And chlorinated water, okay, it's great that you might get chlorinated water to the house and you know that those bugs that might cause harm could be dead, but you don't want to be drinking chlorinated water. Therefore, now in the good old days, we'd say just put water in from the tap into a jug and let the chlorine gas off so that you're not drinking it. But of course, it's more than chlorine as well. It's that we want to clear. But yes, I've often thought I'm so meticulous about filtering the water in the house, and then you go out to dinner and
Yes, yeah. So
the
I take
veggies
mine
have
with
been
me.
cooked in the
Oh, and all of that, all the things you can't control. It's
that
interesting. The
you
more
can't
you
control.
become aware, yeah, it makes it harder and harder to go out. And yeah, it does. But you can get some really incredible little filtering systems now. So apart
Yeah.
from getting your bigger water filter systems for your kitchen, you can also get the jugs, which we always take away camping, and the more portable little bottles, which are all filtered and filter out all those things too. So there's quite a few options for taking
There
water
are
on
a
the
lot more
go.
now. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
But
Yeah.
even
And even the shower filter, you could actually that's a post-market add-on, so you can if the shower screws off, you can add a
yeah,
shower filter
yeah,
and for the duration of your stay.
yeah, you could. Yeah, yeah. And it makes a huge difference. And also rainwater. So you might think, oh, well, I'm going to catch my rainwater and that will eliminate all that. But it is amazing what is coming through the rainwater too. So really important that if you're doing that, you filter that, because I think Karen and I both had the experience of using what we've caught from rainwater and seeing the filters work double time, and having to clean them many, many more times than we would from tap water. So, what are we consuming? What is in the air? What is on our roof? All that
Yeah,
stuff, isn't it?
because I live quite close to our harbour, and we know that there's exports of stuff that wouldn't be very desirable to be in your water.
Mm.
The dust. It's close enough if the wind direction is. Fortunately, it'd have to be a bizarre wind direction, but that doesn't mean that doesn't
No.
happen.
Mm.
But also, if you live near a highway, what's coming off the roads,
Yeah.
like besides the exhaust of the cars, like the and on windy sort of days, you don't know really what you're getting tossed into the air.
Mm.
So I actually, this is, Sarah's just said that they've actually changed the filter, but the one that was recommended to in the fairly early days of us getting, I'm just trying to organise it to the camera. You really want to have a look at when you're looking at water filters, what does it actually filter? Because the cheapy water filters at the shops probably address chlorine and the scent of chlorine, but I don't know that they filter a lot more than that.
Mm.
You'd
Do you want to show
need
the
to
whole
read it.
box, Karen? Do you want to show the other side of it?
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
that
Ceramic
is
water filter.
and it actually comes from the UK, and the ceramic water container that this filter candle attaches into, that's Australian made. It's a beautiful piece of pottery. Holds 6 litres, 8 litres.
Oh no, well, no, more like 15, I think.
Oh, okay. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Depends what size. I
this
think there's a
is
couple of sizes you can get.
this is the only filter that they actually recommended for the job if you were going to try and get chlorine out of your water. But I do have rainwater catchment. And the thing is, if you're only paying, say, $20 for a filter,
Mm.
it probably isn't doing the job. These are closer to $100
Yeah.
each, and can last a few months.
Yeah.
But you do need to keep an eye on how it's going, and I always make sure I've got a spare ready to go. And but the thing is, this is one that filters fluoride, but it filters out cysts like Giardia, the Cryptosporidium, sediment. Definitely with the rainwater tank, you want the sediment cleared out. Chloramines, chlorine, lead, fluoride, volatile organic compounds, because you don't know what your neighbours are spraying on their stuff. Metals like aluminium, iron, mercury, nickel, and zinc, arsenic, glyphosate. and nitrates. And because I don't make a claim to clearing 100% because I don't know anyone can make that claim, but it is all like high 90 percentile of clearing. And it's what Sarah said before, you can taste it when you're drinking less than filtered water. And given that we cook with water, we drink water, we even our plants, because Sarah, what feels like, well, it has to be have been about 15 years ago but it feels like 100 years ago. I was doing a course on it had a nutrition component, and we had to go looking for the breakdown of different foods. And part of that search, and unfortunately I've never been able to find it since. I've got a feeling it's either changed names significantly or it's not findable. But this is when I started to suspect that fluoride was in a lot more of in our water supply, because fluoride was coming up in different veggies, but at a lower percentile for being in the celery or in the cucumber, because that's what it was looking at, as individual plants. And I've had it put to me by a scientist who knew it all. I mean, they were very learned, but I think sometimes coming across knowing it all isn't a healthy way to have an open mind, that maybe we've been taught stuff that might not be true. But was the fluoride in the natural water supply truly, which is what she believed, or was it because we're watering our plants with fluoridated water?
Yes.
Was it naturally in the ground? And maybe it was, but because I've got to keep an open mind too. But it was just really interesting because this study was done, and probably the percentages that were on this website were probably 5 years old as well. So we could be looking at data that was well and truly over 20 years old. There wasn't much fluoride in some plants, and there was a lot of fluoride in others. And I, even back then, I wonder if it's in the water that they're being
especially
used.
different vegetables too, like your lettuce, your celery, your cucumbers that are very high water content. They're going to be more full of whatever's in the water than an apple off a tree, which sort of has more of a internal filter system through the tree by the time it gets to the apple on the branch, doesn't it? So it's like, just be careful, what you're eating, for sure. Not so consideration.
Yeah, so it's not only about fluoride, and it's not only about chlorine. What other chemicals are in there that we haven't even been told about that are considered to be about for public health? But is it good for our gut? Ultimately, is it good for our...
And when you think about, I'm going to share with you some information about hydrogen water, and the main cause of all our sort of main diseases is oxidative stress. It's the cause of that comes through our whole gut health system. So 85% of all our major diseases come from an unhealthy gut, what we're putting into our gut. And there are
areas of the body that you don't necessarily directly connect to the gut, but we're talking arthritis, we're talking brain health
diseases. Yeah.
And because it all starts with the gut.
Yeah. And it's that oxidative stress. So we were going to mention before we finish with our water talk, something that I've been taking for the last probably 6 weeks now, and I wanted to wait until I'd had a good chance to feel the effects myself, but I'm drinking hydrogen water, which is what I'm sipping away on here, and it's full of, I don't know if you can see in the glass, but it's full of bubbles. So hydrogen water has been researched. This man, Dr. Paul Baratiro, he's got a company called Echo Water, and he's been researching for the last 22 years. And he's been teaching this stuff for the last 12 years. And I'll put the links in the description below so you can have a look at an interview, which is how I got onto his product. And I actually went and purchased one of his Echo Water, hydrogen water bottles. So I can have hydrogen water wherever I go. And I'm taking about 4 to 6 glasses of that a day. And what it's doing is reversing the effects of disease, because what I've noticed personally for myself is reduced inflammation. So I was suffering from some pain, which was inflammation related, bursitis type pain, inflammation in the body. And those things are reversing. I can feel them reversing. After I had the first glass, I could feel sort of like an effect. I could feel that I just had something that was, that like really went into my cells. And it reminded me of when I lived in Victoria and I used to go and collect my water from a mountain. And I used to get the water out of halfway up the mountain. It came out of the mountain and it was pure spring water. And I used to take my water bottles up there once a month, fill them all up. And if you drank while you were up there from there, it would be like you'd have this little high. You'd be like, all that sort of rich hydrogen, it was full of hydrogen, must have been, because that was what went to your head and gave you this sort of high feeling. It was amazing. And that's what this is doing. So I'm having 4 to 6 glasses a day to sort of get on top of and see what it's doing for me. And I can certainly say I'm sleeping better, inflammation's reducing. I think it has a whole sort of myriad of benefits that I wanted to wait long enough to know whether that was the water that was doing it. And it's definitely made a big difference. Since I've started that water, I'm walking again. And I'd stopped walking in our morning walks because of a problem with my knee. So yeah, I'm putting a lot of it down to, it'll go wherever it's needed. So I think it's just working through, everyone will be different, but it's going to go where it's needed the most and start systematically working through your body, addressing what is most important. And I think when you start listening to him, it makes a lot of sense because this has been around for many, many years. This isn't new, but it's like many of the things that are good for us, we've been denied it because, there's not a lot of money to be made in wellness, in getting people well, buying a hydrogen water bottle maker and having that could eliminate a whole lot of other things that you might be paying a lot of money for. So that's why it's been kept from us. But I made a few notes, and there was a study from 1950 to 1965 in Japan. They did a trial, and it was a 15-year long trial. And one of the things they noticed the most was the gut repair from the hydrogen water, which then, of course, led through to all sorts of I don't want to use the word cure, but improvements in people's conditions because the gut health was targeted and repairing. In World War II, hydrogen was used to treat gunshot wounds. So, it's really interesting. It's been around a long time. It's known as a selective oxidant. So it's going to start to reverse the effects of that oxidative stress in the body. It doesn't have like free radicals. They have their good and bad aspect because they can turn bad. This is a selective oxidant. It doesn't turn bad. So everything it does in your body is going to have a benefit, not a downside. So it's sort of like a win-win. It's like, why wouldn't you want more of it?
Yeah.
It's really working for me. So I'm drinking it. Once you've got on top of things, then you might not need as much. But then, of course, it depends what habits you change in your life. If you're still eating the same crappy food, if you're still drinking the same crappy water, then you're going to need to keep taking it at the same levels because you're consistently putting back in what caused those things in the first place. So, and it is hard in this world.
I think what was also a bit frustrating for you, Sarah, was that your diet, there was no place to alter what you were eating when it came to the inflammation. Therefore, you also look at life practices as well, and yours is many people doing what you do for your health. but you still needed a bit more support. So even if you're thinking, look, I'm doing everything and I've changed
Yeah.
everything and
Yeah.
I've still got this problem, um, we we're human. We're going to have
Yeah.
some issues at different times, but it really comes back to if you always do what you've always done, you're going to get the same result. So
Yeah.
to change your water, and yes, it required a bit of an investment, but look at the bonus,
Yeah.
because I
I
think,
would have
like
spent a
me,
lot
you don't.
more in
Yeah.
medication if I'd gone down the other route.
Yes, well, that's what I was about to say. You
Mm.
don't
Mm.
medicate for pain other than homeopathy or
Mm.
some herbal, again,
Yeah.
anti-inflammatory sort of stuff, and you're getting the results.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there'd be many people that I have seen over the 30 plus years of having been a nurse that a joint replacement, or at least
Yeah.
at the minimum, some sort of surgery could have been on the cards,
Mm.
and you've avoided that. And
Yeah.
given your body time, because we didn't walk through winter because that was hard for Sarah, but we were doing her
Restorative.
restorative yoga,
Mm.
and just that that was brilliant for me because
Mm.
we walk, like we're back to doing walking 3 times a week again now because it's nicer that the weather's improved,
Mm.
but also I really stretched out some stuff that you're
Yeah.
not even sometimes aware that it's annoying you
Yeah. Yeah.
until it's gone.
Till you
And
start to dig in a bit deeper. Making the time, isn't it, to do those things?
yeah, yeah. So so it wasn't all negative, and some learning,
Mm.
but also this hydrogen water
Yeah.
kind of came out of your research for what
Yeah.
else can I do?
It did. It did. And it's a game changer. So yeah, wanted to share that. And also the healing waters around the world. You know, you hear about people going to these places to sit in the healing waters. Well, when this Dr. Paul did this, sort of looked into, well, what's in those waters, and it's hydrogen in the water, you know. So, and that can be through reactions through the water where it is, through the rockets coming through, or it could be coming through a mountain stream. Who knows what creates it? But all the way around the world, there's these healing waters that people flock to because when they get out of them, they feel so much better. So it's really
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
I have had some people say when I've been talking about the hydrogen water, they go, "Oh, the alkaline water." And what was
No, it's not.
interesting is one of the things I was listening to, they were saying, "Oh, people will say that it's the alkaline water, but actually, even in some of the alkaline water, it's actually hydrogenated the water."
Yeah.
So,
He talks about
um,
that in the interview. He talks about that and pH levels and all that. He talks about all of that stuff people get
so
hooked up
you
on.
might have heard about the importance of alkalizing your body, but this is a different angle
Yeah.
again that happens to be a little bit related in the sense of actually what's doing the powerful stuff is the hydrogen, not so much that it's
Mm.
alkaline. Because
Mm.
the thing is with our stomach, that should be acidic. And if you've ever
Yes.
been told
Yeah.
by a doctor that it's too acidic, I'd change doctors personally because
Yeah.
it's just more
You
that the
need
acid isn't where it should be, but
yeah.
you need acid in your stomach to not marinate your meat. You need it to break down the meat. It needs to be hydrochloric acid. And so that's where the alkalizing the body always kind of
Yeah,
didn't
didn't make
gel.
sense. No, no. There's lots of those faddish things. I think this is beyond a fad. And you look at the research, years and years of research, 20 odd years of
Mm.
research on this. And I can actually put a link to a research site where you can see there's a huge interest in hydrogen again and the research that's coming out. So definitely worth a look. And I think the other thing it's given me is more energy and more stamina and more aliveness.
Mm.
It's a real, yeah, picks you up. It really does pick you up. So just wanted to introduce that in the topic of water. And we've probably come to our time limit for today. So hope that's been helpful. We'll put some links in below.
Yeah,
You can
Yeah.
check it out
And
there.
do your research
Yeah.
too. Like if you've got the money, there's even whole home systems like
Yeah.
that, so you can just have it that you have a special tap that just lets it do the
Yeah.
job. But yeah, well done.
So we'll be back. We'll see you again, and ending with that reminder to keep your mind open and know that there's always more to learn, because we learn when our minds are open, and make space for new information to come in.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
This content is created for informational purposes only. Always seek the guidance of a qualified health professional with any questions you may have regarding your personal health.